So our next speaker, now on both screens, Andrew Henry is Director of Client Services at creative production company Joystick. Andrew's going to be talking about audio specifically. We've referenced a couple of times the audio assistants. It also goes beyond that. So please welcome Andrew Henry to the stage. Green button.
Right there, the green one. Thank you for my theme song. Hello, everybody. My name's, yes, let me move that, please. Hi, I am Andrew Henry. I'm VP Client Services with Joystick. Going to speak a little bit about audio and why we definitely should not be calling it a comeback. To give a little bit about background on me and where I'm from, I am from Joystick. We're a creative services marketing agency focusing on everything from display, rich media, to websites and app creation. And about myself, I am from the great state of New Jersey, where we are taught to breathe and live Bruce Springsteen. And Greetings from Asbury Park, New Jersey was the first album I ever owned. And if you'll allow me to indulge just for a moment, I think I'd like to talk about the music formats that I've had to go through in my life. I think it speaks to change at the topic at hand. So certainly when I started, Bruce was on the radio. That's how I heard his songs. After that, I bought my first vinyl record, able to listen to it at home whenever I wanted to. That gave way to the cassette tape. Now I was portable. I could listen to Bruce anywhere I went. But not too long, because then I got the compact disc, or the CD. Very good, high quality sound, but not as great as the iTunes version of the album I had to buy. That's the fourth time I bought this album. And that was fantastic, and I can listen to it everywhere. But now I've returned to Sirius XM radio and listen to E Street Radio. And so why am I talking about this? I'm talking about this because I think it's a great example of change and how change can be a very weird thing. I think change happens in a lot of weird ways, strange ways, ways that don't make a lot of sense. It's not necessarily linear, which is why I'm going to talk about audio ads and how they are on the rise. So 3 topics I'm going to talk about briefly today. Why the return of audio ads? What are some of the best practices and considerations when creating audio ads? And then also how will audio continue to expand in the future with voice? So talking about audio ads, back in the day it was mostly radio advertising. And a fun trivia fact here, advertising by audio actually predates radio broadcasting. In the late 1800s, with the invention of the telephone, there was actually a thing called telephone newspapers, where you could hold your phone up to your ear and someone was just reading the news, reading entertainment, and brands could actually pay for a very quick little spot in that. And that was the first audio ad. That, of course, progressed to radio advertising. After that, we moved into billboards, then print, email, display, video. And as the progression there of advertising happened, I think the respect for audio went down a little bit. It certainly was always still present, but it went down. I think a great example of this is video advertising. So at Joystick, we make video ads all the time. And it's always common best practice to put subtitles over the video, with the understanding that most people are not going to click on the audio and not going to listen to it. It's just expected that the video is more important, don't worry about the audio. So that's sort of what happened. I think recently, there's a few factors of why audio's picking back up. These are certainly not all the reasons. One, podcasts. I just read a week ago there are 660,000 podcasts in production right now. So that is, and Spotify just purchased, I think, a 3rd podcast production company. So that's certainly a big factor. Music streaming services, another huge factor. Adobe recently released a report that most consumers listen to 1 to 5 hours of music streaming services a week, and that's on the low end. High end, 11 hours a week. So between the podcast, the music streaming services, and voice assistants, which I'm actually going to speak to a little bit, I think that really we're understanding that audio is everywhere. It's in our cars, our homes, at work, in the gym. It's around us all the time. So in addition to being so present, audio is just fast. It's a very fast medium to convey a message, to make an emotional connection with a user. So what makes a good audio ad? I'm not going to talk about every single thing that's on here, but I think probably I can combine a few of them. Understanding your audience and the context. When you're creating an audio ad, is it for a music streaming service? Is it for a podcast? Is it for a jazz channel or a rock and roll channel? Think of the context of where the user is going to be listening to your audio ad. And then also you want to keep it brief and memorable. Unlike a display ad where the user is going to be seeing something, most people with an audio ad are not going to be looking at any screen. So you need them to listen and to really comprehend and understand what you'd like them to do. Is that a promo code? Is that visiting a website? Whatever it is, it just needs to be memorable. We have some best practices for audio ads here. On the right side, obviously, those are the general specs. The two things I'm going to talk about on this frame. One, the companion asset. So I know I just said people don't look at the screen, but you still can create a companion asset that'll be on the screen while the audio is playing. However, as I said earlier, do not anticipate that they're going to actually be looking at a screen when your ad is playing. The other thing is to really lean into the audience's imagination. You can have a great ad with copywriting and music and sound effects, but let the audience, they're gonna bring something else that you haven't even thought of when they hear that ad. So you can lean into their imagination a little bit, and we have some examples that I'll be playing, which I think will help illustrate the point. So if I think I hit on this.
Check, 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 yeah, that's right. The chicken wrap, now at McDonald's.
Yes, I made you all just listen to that. Right, so it's memorable, it's funny, and humor's always great. Humor's certainly hard to achieve, but if you can, it's fantastic. It's just a fantastic concept. It's for the chicken wrap. I know that this particular product had a huge uptick during the time of this campaign. So that is one example. Next example, do I hit the slide? Next example we have for you.
To give you some love.
I'm Captain Obvious, and Hotels.com rewards me basically everywhere. So why am I wearing a full-body wetsuit at this spa retreat? Because Hotels.com lets me do me. I like the heat, not the wet.
Hotels.com. You do you and get rewarded.
Okay. And the reason I wanted to play that one is because we do have some clients who come to us and maybe they just want to extend a campaign they already have. So if they have really great video assets and they want to figure out is there a way to make an audio ad, we do that sometimes. We can crop it, we can tweak it, figure out what makes the most sense. So we do both sort of concepting and original audio ads as well as reusing assets that are available. So audio in the future, what exactly does that look like? I don't think it necessarily looks like this, but there is a statistic that I believe by 2020, 30% of searches are going to happen without a screen. And that leads into the topic that Abigail was talking about, age of assistance, voice assistance. It says that 36% of people who have a voice-activated speaker do it because it lets them do things faster. And 69% of people enjoy it while they're doing other things. They are cooking, they are cleaning. It just makes their lives easier. And I think that we can see a clear connection between audio ads and voice assistants. On the Joystick side, we have an innovations team, and we're actually working right now on voice-enabled units. I have two I'm going to show you right now.
Hi, just click any of the speech bubbles to see what it's like to control a smart home with Alexa. Alexa, turn on the coffee maker.
Okay.
Come on, coffee.
All right, so this ad, so that's an ad that's controlled by the user. The user is given prompts. It's what's called a guided conversation. They're given prompts to say, and when the user says it, after enabling their microphone, the unit will behave in a certain way. We made a whole series of those units. We have one other version I'm going to show right now.
Find what you need with your voice. Say things like, I want to buy paper towels from Target. We'll need access to your microphone to get started. Thanks, we're ready to go. What would you like at Google Express?
I want to buy paper towels from Target.
Got it. You want paper towels from Target, right?
Right, so there you go. So this is an ad unit. So that's an ad unit where users can enable their mic and get a response right in the ad unit. So I don't think it's, so I think you can see a clear, oh man, my joke is going to not be as good now. I think now you can see a clear path where the audio ads and the voice assistants are going to combine into a new sort of format. And then ideally in the future, when I ask my voice assistants to please purchase the latest version of Greetings from Asbury Park, New Jersey, it'll be beamed into my brain, was the joke. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Andrew. Who'd have thought we'd listen to stories about paper towels being searched for or voice searches all in one day here?
I know, it's interesting.
It's happening.
Yeah, it is happening. Which is actually, it's one thing I think marketers need to think about in terms of educating. I'm sorry, this isn't a question. I'm just going.
Go ahead.
Educating consumers with not just saying, I'd like paper towels, right? They need to start saying the brands, especially when they're in home, because the voice assistants will just return a bunch of whatever the paper towels are, but you want your consumers and your clients to think about a specific brand and mention that brand. All right.
How do you get started with creating audio ads?
Well, good copy, certainly very important. If you have production resources, that's great. So some sort of recording studio, music, sound effects. I mean, I think any brand who really wants to sort of be, omni-channel needs to start thinking about audio ads. And now is really a great time because the market is not too cluttered yet. So now is like the time to start experimenting with audio ads and what can be done.
Your slide was helpful. Perhaps you can make that available for people afterwards on the format requirements. Perhaps. I saw a few people taking photographs. Do audio ads tend to work better for different age groups or demographics?
That's a very interesting question. I know that, in terms of those numbers that I mentioned earlier about who's listening to various things, certainly the 11 hours is the Generation Z and younger. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I have enough research to give you an accurate answer right now, but I will look into it. Very good.
And final question, if there were a maturity curve, where do audio ads sit on that maturity curve right now?
I would say it's definitely I imagine in the next 6 months to a year, it's going to be everywhere.
Yeah.
I think that with sonic branding, which I think you and I talked about it once. Mm-hmm. Sonic branding. Does everyone know what sonic branding is? That's a brand's audio identity.
Like at the start of your examples, like ding, 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 ding.
Exactly that. That would be the Joystick audio brand. So, and certainly that's not a new thing. PlayStation has an audio sound, T-Mobile has an audio sound, but I think that all brands need to have an audio sound so that users can instantly, in a matter of seconds, recognize your brand.
I remember Sega.
That's Sega, there you go, that's a great one.
There you go.
Yeah.
Very good. Thanks very much, Andrew.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.